right, and you said you can see my screen, is that right?
I can.
Awesome. Okay, so finding our forms in the system is really easy, and I'm going to be talking a little bit fast today because there's a lot to cover in this training. So if you need me to stop or if you have a question, just interrupt me. It's totally fine, because sometimes I can get on a roll, and I want to make sure any questions that you have get answered. There's only one place that we can access our forms in MemberClicks, and that's by going to the Forms tab and Form List. And this is going to bring us to any forms that have been created in the system for you. So right now it looks like I've made a CRRA application, reference, conference registration, and membership application. I think those are the only 4 that I received from you guys. Does that seem correct to you?
Correct.
Perfect. So this is actually going to be the conference registration that we're going to be looking at in just a moment. A couple of things I want to point out before we dive into the form. To create a new form, you're going to select Create a Form. So that's pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
You'll name your form, and you'll determine what type of form it is. Our forms have some default sections in them. We're going to look at those in a minute. But the body of the form will be determined by what type of form it's being used as. So if you're using the form for a membership application, you're going to check that it's for membership. If you're using the form for an event registration, like for our conference registration, we're checking conference or event registration because that's what it's being used for. The tricky one is that if it's for anything else, like if you ever get to this point and you're like, well, it's for membership and it's not for an event, what do I do? Just check neither. And we're going to use a general section. A general section will encompass anything else that we're using the form for. And then exactly.
All right.
Yeah, like an RSVP to a webinar, exactly. And then the last option is you could check both. So it could be used for membership and for an event. So we could do it that way too. The last thing that I wanted to point out here is that whatever you're naming the form is internal. So you can name this form whatever is going to help you remember what it's being used for.
Okay.
Any questions so far?
No, that's okay.
Awesome. Now, if we hover over our forms, we've got some different options. We've got these 3 horizontal dots. If we click on those, we're allowed to copy our form. That's going to be your best friend because instead of having to make brand new forms every single time, you can just copy an existing and tweak it a little bit. And I would definitely recommend doing that.
You have an edit button on here, so instead of creating a new one, can't you just tweak it by editing it? Such as if it says for the SURFA conference, can you tweak it by changing the dollar amounts or changing the dates on it?
Exactly, but for the 2018 SURFA conference, for 2019 SURFA conference, you want to have a new form. You wouldn't want to just tweak the existing because you're going to be able to keep track of your form submissions.
Okay.
And then you can like export those form submissions.
Okay.
So what you don't want to happen is
tweak the copy of it.
Exactly. You would just copy it, call it 2019, change the pricing, change the speakers, whatever you need to change on it, and then just use that form. And then that way you can compare how many people registered last year, how many people registered this year. You could email the people that came last year by using these submissions and say, hey, you came to our registration, you came to our conference last year. Click here to register for our 2019 conference. So you can kind of target market to the people who registered last year. So it's important that you have a new form for every event or for every time somebody gets ready to take a form, you need to create a new one, like for each individual event. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Now, the conference registration, is that the entire brochure or is it just the one-page registration that I just sent you?
Yeah. I would keep this just the one-page registration.
So where is the 2018 brochure?
I would make maybe either a link on one of your articles on your website to that, or you could copy and paste all of that content onto an article. And then on that article, have a button that says, click here to register. Is that clear? Did I explain that clearly, I should say?
Yes. So what you're saying is that the brochure would be an article, but on that article would be a link that they could click on to pay.
Exactly.
Or would it be the link to pay or the link to fill out the registration form?
It would be the link to fill out the registration form, which would then lead to payment.
Okay, that's fine. Now, have you downloaded that brochure yet, or you have not?
I have.
Or uploaded into the articles?
I don't know. Let's go see if my designer has done that for us. I went ahead and got him to bring over all the content.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, once the template's in place, all we have to do is just put the template in place. Where would is it on your existing site somewhere?
No, it's just in a folder.
On your, like if I went to SURFA.com, would I be able to get to how do people get to that brochure?
I don't know if she's loaded it on there yet. Hold on, let me see. I'm going to go in and find it. I've actually got my home computer going too, because I figured I can look on there.
Awesome. Mm-hmm.
Okay. When you did it, was it www.surfa.com? Is that where you found it?
www.surfa.com. That's exactly right.
Keep bringing me to yours. Okay, here it is. Program. No, it doesn't look like it's been loaded on here yet.
Okay, so what we can do is when we do our content training next time, we can add it to the website together as part of the training and is also getting that done. How does that sound?
Oh, that sounds great. And that's Monday, correct? We're scheduled for Monday?
Let me double check my calendar.
I know I put it on my calendar when you...
I don't have us down for this. Oh, yes, 9 o'clock on Monday. Yep.
Perfect.
Ooh, I hope to have that template in place by then. What is today? Friday at 2:30. I'll touch base with my designer and see if he thinks that'll be done by then. Okay. So we'll add it real time together on the site. Let me go back to, here you are. Let me get rid of some of this confusing stuff. Okay. So yeah, so right now that brochure is not accessible anywhere, but we can add it together on Monday, and I'll show you how to add the register here link on the content training as well. Now, something else on this page that I wanted to point out to you is there's not only a copy button, but there's also a delete option. However, once there has been one form submission that has been submitted on a form, that form is no longer able to be deleted.
Okay.
And the reason why is because you're able to collect information on your members through forms. And so if you deleted the form submission itself, it would delete out all of that information you collected through the form, right?
Oh.
That would be mass deleting it. And we don't want to do that. So to prevent you guys from ever accidentally doing that, we've just taken away that whole ability for you to be able to delete forms. We made it foolproof.
Somebody else is taking over.
Do what?
I'm only going to be here through June, and then I'm retiring.
Oh, you are?
I am.
Oh my goodness, I'm going to be disappointed. Well, the health team will miss out on getting to work with you, but they do offer some really great opportunities, like for new board members, new staff members, free training. So whenever you guys have, if you start training a replacement or something, just reach out to the health team and let them know, and they always are willing to throw in some trainings for you guys.
All right, sounds good. Well, the hope is that I'm retiring in June. We shall see. They haven't let me yet.
Oh, they can't let you go. Well, once you find somebody that, I mean, it's so hard to find dependable and good hard
No.
workers. It's so hard.
And they're 18 years. So every
Yeah.
time I hire, they kind of ignore it.
You're like, guys, I think it might be time. Maybe you can start by getting like an assistant or something, and then you can be like, well, since the assistant's already trained,
Yeah.
I might just step out.
Okay.
That's funny. Awesome. So, so since you can't delete forms, that means over time you're going to have a ton of forms in here, right? Because you have to have a new form for every event, everything, every time somebody's registering for something, you need to create a new form. So that's why we've got these different statuses. You can drop these down and you can archive forms. If you archive a form, yeah, if you need to copy a form one day that you've archived, once an archive form is archived, you can always click this checkbox
Mm-hmm.
and it'll bring them all up.
That's under status, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And then you have a search bar over here in the top right-hand corner as well that will allow you to search your forms. Forms will always be listed in alphabetical order, so that makes it easier to sort through them as well. The last two items that I wanted to mention on this page, you can edit your forms by selecting Edit. We're going to do that in just a moment. And then you've got this button, Take This Form. So right now your members are pretty much, it sounds like, filling out paper forms, like paper registrations, and sending them to you guys. So the transition from a paper form to an online form could be cumbersome or could be a little bit challenging for some of your members. And so Bob may call you one day and he may say, I just can't figure this out. Can you just take the form for me? And you can, in fact, say, take this form. You'll come in here, go right to the form that he is trying to fill out. You're going to search for Bob's name, tag Bob, and you can proceed as Bob. And that's going to allow you to actually fill out the form as if you were Bob. It's still going to send
administrative, and it's an administration privilege. Okay.
Exactly, exactly. And so you may never use this, but since you guys are strictly going from paper forms to an online form, I have a feeling you probably will be using it more often.
Okay, so you take this form, and then you went into profile list and search, or just search?
Yeah, I actually just said take this form, and then it brought up its own profile where I'm searching. So I'm not using the screen search. I'm using the search inside of here. So I could say Bob, tagging Bob's name, proceed as Bob. One other trick that I'll go ahead and point out to you. Let's say that Bob sent you a paper form. Just because you have the paper form doesn't mean he doesn't need to be in MemberClicks. He still needs to be in MemberClicks. Plus, you want to invoice him. So even if Bob sends you a paper form, you want to take the form on behalf of Bob and put in all his responses from the paper form.
Okay, so if we get anything in the mail, we have to input that then.
Yeah, and the first one, go ahead.
Ones that we're receiving now, we will have to take them and go in and proceed. Right.
Yeah, and what I want you to do is collect a few of them when you start getting them, and I'll have you share your screen, and I'll sit and watch you do it and kind of help direct you through the first handful that you have so that you feel comfortable doing that.
Great.
One other trick that I was going to mention is, let's say Bob sent you that paper form on Monday and you don't get a chance to input it until Friday evening.
Yeah.
There's this prevent confirmation emails from going out, and it's down here in the bottom left-hand corner. If you check that, that won't tell Bob that it took you a week to put the form in.
Okay.
Just in case. Okay.
Now, I wanted to ask you on the form itself, there are two things. One is they are requesting CPE credits, and the other is a dinner registration. Well, actually, it's three, and then there's the payment method. Are those something that will be we'd be able to count once they fill out this form? So if you have the conference registration form, and into that form, you would see them checking off boxes. One is for the CPE credit request. Another one is a dinner that they're having, a registration. And the third is payment method, whether it's going to be by check or credit card. So are those going to register somewhere so that we can take a look and see how many have registered for the dinner?
Yeah,
Or
so
how
I'm
many-
actually, yeah, I'll show you in just a bit. Probably not today. We're probably going to split our forms training up into 2 trainings.
That a yes?
It's a lot of, yes, we can do that. Yes. And I'll show you how.
Okay. All right.
Awesome.
Sorry,
So,
I don't off track.
No, you're totally fine. The questions are good. Like I said in the beginning, this is a more robust training, and it's good to ask a lot of questions, and it's good to take it a little bit slower. So if we have to break it up in 2 sessions, that doesn't hurt my feelings.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into the event registration, and we're going to do that by just clicking Edit next to that event registration. And this is going to bring us in the form. So our form is comprised of a left-hand column and a right-hand column. We're going to start by looking at the right-hand column together. Everything over here on the right-hand side is a rough draft. It's just like an outline of the form, but it's just not pretty yet. It's not in a template. Our form is comprised of different sections. The first section is this login section. Your members must log in when they're taking forms because it's what recognizes them.
Right, and they're all get an email when this is saying what their username is and password. Am I correct?
Exactly. We're going to send them a welcome email with their username and password. But if for some reason they forgot it, there's always a forgot username, forgot password link at the bottom of the login section.
Right, okay. Because they will forget.
Yeah, well, I forget. Everybody has a million different username and passwords they're keeping up with these days, so it's understandable. Yeah. So this is where they'll be logging in. And like I said, they have to log in because the login section is what recognizes the members. So it's what takes information that they've put in the form and stored it in their profile. It's what auto-populates information into the form from their profile if that information's already been filled out, like if you already have collected that information. So if they register for, the conference every single year, they're not having to put in their email, phone number, and physical address every year. It's auto-populating from their profile. Okay. Another really cool thing about this is when they log in, that's what saves the submission in that individual's folder. Yeah. It's also what saves the invoice in their folder. It also makes it searchable, so you can search, did Bob fill out the conference registration form, or did he not fill out the conference registration form? So you can send targeted emails based on, okay, if somebody didn't fill out the form, we're going to send an email to all those people who didn't and say, hey, you haven't registered for our conference. What's the deal? Click here to register. And that way you're not sending that email to everybody, so you're not getting phone calls like, yes, I already registered. Why are you still emailing me? Because nobody likes to be emailed when they've already registered for something, Got it. So I can click on the properties for the login section. Every section has a properties button, and it tells me what we can customize about this section. In this case, we can customize the name of the section. So I mentioned when we created the form, when we first create that form and we put in a form name, that name is not public. It is purely internal. This big, bold conference registration up here, that's only for you guys to know what this is. This is not for your members. So your members will actually see the names of each tab as they navigate from section to section. So whatever's on these little tabs, that's what your members will see. Login may not make sense to your members. You may want to say log in to register for the upcoming conference.
I would actually put for the 2018 conference.
Perfect. Now, you'll notice I technically could turn off the login section, but we already talked about the reasons why it's important to keep it logged on or turned on. If you had people who are going to take a survey, maybe they don't have to log in because it's maybe it needs to be anonymous. Maybe you're going to send everybody a survey after the conference to ask how the conference went. You could maybe turn the login section off for that, since maybe you want anonymous responses. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But for the majority of the time, you'll want to leave it turned on.
And we can manually turn that off.
Yep,
Okay.
just with this toggle here.
Okay, yep.
Login type. So you'll notice there's a login section for existing users and for new users. If somebody registers as a new user, it's going to create a prospect profile for them. Maybe you have an event that only members can come to. You would just take away the new users and only allow existing users. And you'll notice the login section now only has a place for existing users.
Got it. Okay.
You can do vice versa as well. And then the last piece to this, multiple submissions. You don't want to allow multiple submissions, because what's going to happen is Bob's going to go, did I register? I just don't remember. I'll just do it again. And now you've got two registrations for Bob. You got 2 invoices. Bob's mad because he realized he's paid you $100 when he was only supposed to pay you $50. You know, all kinds of crazy stuff. So this, if Bob tries to take the form again, as long as it's not allowing multiple submissions, it'll say, hey, Bob, you've already taken this form. You cannot take this form again. So it won't let them duplicate it.
Good.
That's really everything for that. That's exactly right. That's really everything for the login section. Any questions on this piece?
No.
Okay, great. Now we're going to continue to scroll down on the right-hand side. You'll notice there is a membership section. There's a membership section in every form, no matter what kind of form technically it is, but it's grayed out because when we created the form, we said we're creating an event, not membership. So it's turned off. We're going to keep scrolling, and now we have scrolled into our event registration.
Register yourself and guest. Okay.
Yep.
Now, can they, if they register themselves, and then a week later, they've got a guest that's coming, can they go back in? Because where this thing with multiple submissions is off, do they just register them as a new person, new member?
Yeah, so like that's a really good question. They'd have to act as if it's a new user who's coming in. They wouldn't be able to add them onto their form submission.
Okay. Organizations that they get a discount if more than 2, come, but sometimes they don't know who's coming until later on after they've registered.
Yeah, so there's not, there's going to be exceptions like that where weird things like that are going to happen. You may want to give an option on the form where it says, since you're registering more than one person, or are you, is this person a second attendee? And if they select it, it's at a discounted rate. And then they could register that person at any time. That might be the easiest way to incorporate that. Does it make sense to you?
Yes and no.
How do you handle it now? Yeah.
Well, right now, what it does is that if you have, I would register, let's say, Bente for the conference. And then a week later, I find out that, Frank, so-and-so is going to come. So then I have to register him, and on the form itself, it says, is there a multiple registration, is there more than one coming? So I would then check off yes, and then they figure out at the other end. So if we have that button in the registration form, and the first person doesn't check off yes, but the second person does, it would raise a red flag so that they're sure that, they get both of them get the discount.
So both individuals get a discount if there's more than one person coming.
It's either $50 or $100 off.
We may need to look at that on the form a little bit more, but let's maybe get through some of the basics of the form first. We might want to look at the specifics maybe on our next call.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Okay. So we were talking about the conference registration piece. So let's go ahead and once again, we can look at the properties for the conference registration piece. We've got some kind of customizations again over here on the left-hand side. We can update the name. So we may want to say 2018 conference registration.
Okay.
We're going to bring that down to this event details. So if you remember, if I go back to the home page in those event registration areas, this is what's, that event name is what's pulling into this dashboard.
Okay. So the minute somebody registers, that will register something.
And it'll show you, it'll populate how many people have registered. Exactly.
And then if I click on it, it gives me the list of people who are coming.
We can click on that, and it's going to take us to the registrant list.
Okay.
This is a really powerful tool because this is where you can tag, as people register, you'll be able to tag all those users. There's an actions drop-down button right here, which will allow you to immediately contact them. So it'll pull them all in the contact center, and you can send them all a message. You could export them. That'll allow you to pull them all into an Excel spreadsheet. So both of those you'll probably be using.
Okay. Now, okay. Yeah, that actually is very helpful. Now, when we're going to send this form to them, she has a cover letter that goes with it. Is there a place that, so we can send a cover letter that goes out as an email with the registration forms? Or
exactly. Yeah, okay. So what we're going to do is we have a contact center where you're going to be communicating with your members out of. We're going to talk about this more on our content training or social community training. But basically, you'll write your email in here.
Got it.
So this will be the cover letter. And then you would say, like, click here to register.
Mm-hmm.
Register. There we go.
I'm so glad I'm not, and you're much younger than I am.
I'm a horrible speller. It's something I'm trying to, it's a resolution of mine. Do what?
I'm working off of a small laptop at home, and the keys are different than, you know, my keyboard at work. So I'm always,
which is the worst.
And I've been doing this since November, so.
All right, so we're going to, we would just highlight whatever item we want to link up, and I can use the site links and link the registration up to that. So when they click on this, it'll take them to the registration form. So it'll be in the cover letter.
Okay, that's great. So it's a cross. You click on it and it links it. Perfect.
Exactly. Let's go back into that registration. Couple things I want to talk about for this conference registration. In addition to the event date. What's the event date for this conference? Is this right?
April, it's the 19th and 20th, correct?
Perfect. Got it. Okay. We want to require it. Go ahead.
I would put dates. It's 04-19 through 04-20.
It won't let me do multiple dates right here. This is really just like, when is the event going to start?
Okay. All right. Then we'll leave it.
I can only choose one. But there's other places we can specify that it's through the 20th.
Mm-hmm.
Require at least one registrant. Yes, we want to require at least one registrant. Otherwise, they can go into the form and just bypass the entire form and not even register and submit it. And not what's it useful for then at that point, right? So yes, we are going to require at least one registrant.
Kind of a no.
Yeah, exactly. Limit number of registrants for events. So if you guys only have 200 seats for the event, we're only going to allow 200 registrations.
Okay. Oh, okay, that's good.
And then what happens when that 200 limit, or whatever that limit is, what happens to the form? We want to disable the entire form, not just the event section, but the entire form.
Okay, I don't think there is a limit.
Okay, perfect. So we'll leave it open. Are your members allowed to register guests?
Are they able to register guests?
Yeah.
Well, that would be somebody is coming with 3 other people from their office. They could register them all. Yes.
Yeah, so they can register guests. Are they limited to a certain number of guests?
No.
So we're going to allow guest registrants. We're not going to put a limit. And then do you want prospect profiles created for guest registrants? You do. So we'll turn that on.
Somebody who registers, not a member, they would go to be a prospect.
Perfect. That's exactly how we'll set it up. All right.
Okay, because we want their names all their information added to our list, our database.
Perfect. So that's exactly what will happen there. Okay. So that is everything for this event section. I've added all these fields, but we're not going to go through those right this very second. I just want to keep working our way through the different sections right now.
Seeing as you're going down and seeing the fields that I was going to ask questions about, so that's good.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely talk through those in specifics. To keep working through our different sections of our form, the next section after the event section is the summary section. So this will just bring up a page which will...
Oh, by the way, under will you be attending TEH instead of THE? Further down.
Got it.
See, you got, well, there you go.
Got it.
Yeah, there were a few of those actually.
We're there. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, that's why you need more than one set of eyes.
That's exactly right. Most of this stuff I was able to copy and paste, but some of it I had to type out. We'll definitely test it and all that fun stuff together. Okay. Summary section. They're just.
Has to be you.
Do what?
We're being recorded. Maybe I shouldn't say that. I said, I know I didn't make any mistakes, so it had to be you.
You're allowed to say that. You're definitely allowed to say that. You saw how clumsy my little fingers are on the keyboard.
There's another one there. There you go.
Where do you see it at? In this summary section?
Yeah, you just fixed it.
Oh, okay. So the summary section is just going to allow them to review the information that they've typed out in the form, right? So then, it's just a normal summary section just to confirm that they provided the correct information.
Perfect. Okay. Now, does the diet restriction, is that a category itself as well? So we'd be able to pull up anybody who has dietary?
You'll be able to export that into like an Excel spreadsheet.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Then we go into the payment section. I'm going to click properties for the payment section. We always want to make sure this is and then I'm going to go ahead and back up for a second. No matter what form you create, if it's copied or a brand new form, or if I created it, you always have to make sure you're setting up the summary section, the payment section, and the confirmation section. So the payment section, you always have to choose your payment processor and what invoice template applies. I chose your conference invoice template because that was the only other one that could apply to it.
Okay.
And then enable pay later with invoice. This means that your members can register and they can have an invoice created for them that they can come back and pay at a later date.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, some have a commission that's paying for it, so.
Yeah. And then when they register, from the invoice template, you selected when the due date is for the invoice. You probably chose something like 30 days.
Yeah.
What we have the ability to do is override the invoice template's due date. So instead of the invoice being due in 30 days, maybe it's due the first day of the conference. So we could say it's due April 19th.
Yeah, okay. I would put it the 18th. Now,
perfect.
There's also I think on the form, I can bring it up again, there is a discount, registration discount, but I don't know if that's just for the hotel. Hold on, let me check. Oh, here it is. Hold on. Oh, here's the form right here. Other fees. These SURFA members. Okay, 3. Yeah. No, I guess not. It must be just for the hotel. No, it's just for the hotel. All right, never mind that question then. It's just the hotel that has, if you register early.
Okay. And then the last section is the confirmation section. There's a confirmation page, so I can click on this field here for the confirmation page and edit the confirmation page. So you may want to say something a little bit more customized, a little bit more personable. Thanks for registering for our conference. Here's some crucial information that you might need to know.
Okay.
But then there's
a reminder that what I would put on there is to remind them to make their hotel reservations.
Perfect. So you can definitely, this is something from today's training that I would ask that you would get in here and set up. Now, not only can you set up a confirmation page, but if I select properties, we can also use a confirmation email.
Okay. And
so
this is all in email, correct?
Say that again?
This is all in forms.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
So if I edit the confirmation email, this allows us to once again add some personalized information, maybe information about the hotel, but something that I think is even more important here is that you can BCC yourself on this email. So instead of you having to come into MemberClicks every day to see if somebody registered, if you're like me, I like to see numbers go up. I like to see when people are coming to my stuff. So you can BCC yourself on this. And so instead of you digging in MemberClicks to see who's registered, you can just put your own email address in here, hit save, and then you'll receive a copy of this. Now, just getting some information, the same information they're getting isn't going to be very helpful. But what you could do is use this merge data tool at the bottom of the editor and merge in fields from the form. So things like their first name, maybe the submission date.
Actually, it's the last name I'd rather,
We could do like a submission date. We could go back in and, merge data, bring in things from bring in their last name as well.
Yeah.
So, so if you'll go ahead, bless you, if you go ahead and get in here and try to set up this confirmation page and click properties and do the confirmation email, I think that gets you some good hands-on experience. You can also set up an itinerary that'll send to all registrants. So the confirmation email is only going to send the confirmation email to the person who registered. So if I registered and then I also registered my coworkers, Kelly and Brittany, only I would receive the confirmation email. But myself, Kelly, and Brittany would all receive the itinerary.
So now in order to get in this, I'm just hitting edit, correct? The confirmation registration. I'm just going back to where I would actually get into this form. I'm not doing take this form. I'm doing edit. Am I correct?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Okay. I'm on my other computer, so I'm walking myself through right here. Okay, and here it is. Oh, look at that. I actually did it. Okay.
Good
so
job.
Confirmation. And this is where I would go in and change that thank you. Enabled it, and then edit confirmation page, and that would bring me up to that. Okay, got it. Okay.
All right.
I know what I'm doing. Okay.
Awesome. So I think I'm going to stop here today. I feel like we covered some good ground. I'm going to let that soak in over the weekend. Any questions I can answer for you before we wrap up today?
I think I'm okay right now. I think you answered all my questions. I had a couple listed. I'll let Bente know that they cannot be sent until probably the end of next week.
Yeah, and just let her know if she wants to send out the paper form, that's fine. We can go back and put those in the MemberClicks system because we want everything to be in one place. But the template for the website. Yeah,
send the brochure out today to everyone, stating that the registration forms will be available by next, let's say, if I were to look at this, I would say February 5th.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Okay. All right, I'll talk to her about it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Otherwise, we're going to have, it's going to be a mess because we're going to have them coming in all over the place. So
yeah, having the paper forms come in won't be too bad, and some people prefer, you know, if you guys are making the transfer over, some people may prefer to fill out the paper forms either way, and we'll get all of them. Like I said, though, just any that you get, keep them in one place because you and I are going to spend some time putting those in the system together.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So we've already got 2. Okay.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
we've got a call on Monday, so we'll probably wrap up the forms training on Monday. Let me look at our time. We've got 9 a.m. Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead. We'll have that 9 a.m. call. We'll probably wrap up our forms training. If the content is done, we'll look at scheduling some more time later in the week as well. But we'll get there.
And that's fine. I'm available. The only time I'm not available is actually, oh, wait a minute. Let me get my calendar out. Thursday after, I think it's Thursday afternoon. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not available Monday afternoon. Wish me luck. I'm going back to my spine specialist, and hopefully they'll tell me I can go back to work.
Oh, wishing you lots of luck.
Well, I am at work, but I'm just working from home. So. Okay, so, yeah, Monday and
Want to schedule another hour on Tuesday?
we could schedule another hour on Tuesday. That would be good.
Let's schedule, let's see, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's schedule 1 o'clock Eastern time. Would that work for you?
On Thursday?
Tuesday, the 30th.
Sure.
1 o'clock, okay.
My work schedule right now, but it should work. I have you down Monday at 9.
Yep.
And then Tuesday, what time?
1.
That's fine.
Okay. Let me know if anything changes. I'll talk to you Monday morning, so if anything changes, we can just talk about it then as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope, yeah. Perfect. Well, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and thanks for your time today. I really appreciate you